Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Eat Smoke Drink. Today is going to be my first Highland Park review, but not your normal Highland Park. It's a Scotch Malt Whisky Society SMWS Highland Park 13 years old. This is a refill Hogshead X bourbon. A little bit about Highland Park. Highland Park is quite an old distillery, but it's also the northernmost distillery of Scotland. You can imagine it's the northernmost distillery of Scotland. The weather is tempestuous, it is absolutely crazy, a lot of rain, very wet. Also, so they're in the Orkney Islands. Also, Highland Park is the only distillery in Scotland that uses only its own peat from its own island, the Orkney Islands. So there's no other distillery in Scotland that'll use their own the peat from Orkney Island. So that'll give you already a very, very distinct flavor. So peat, different types of peat. Is it forest peat? Is it oceanside peat? Is it saltwater peat? Whatever. It's got its own very distinct flavor. So this will have its own distinct flavor. Another thing about Highland Park is that now they don't say if they do all of it the old floor malting traditional way, but they do floor malting still. So we don't know exactly the ratio of it, but floor malting is where they just get a giant concrete floor warehouse, they spread out the barley and then they just spray it with water and let it malt with a rake, and someone's just raking that. So it's very manual, it's not computerized, and it's not ultimately it's not perfectly consistent in terms of malting, so you do get the character and the flavor as well, which is, you know, something that you want out of a whiskey. So anyway, let's get going, let's get nosing and see what this is. This whiskey is like. Now the description is the Armchair Dancing Dram. So let's see what it's like. Ooh, very alcoholic. I've had this before, but obviously I like to review it as I talk to you again. It's 58.1%, so it's up there. It's up there. So it's a relatively tight barrel, but not too tight. Very alcoholic. I'm getting salinity straight away. A slight sweetness. I'm getting kiwi fruit, but I'm getting a lot of alcohol. To be honest, the alcohol kind of drowns out the smell of it, so I'm just trying to the bottom of it. Let's just smell this first and see if we can go back. That's better. So with a little bit of water, some flavors start to come through. A little bit floral. Okay, now that it's evaporated a bit. Look, the salinity, I can smell salinity. It's a little bit floral. I can smell a little bitterness in there, chalkiness in there. In terms of the peat, it's not a heavy peat, but there's definitely an element of oiliness. Kiwi fruit, and unripe kiwi fruit. Look, there's actually not much of a difference. There is a bit of a strange perfume with the water, but there's not much of a difference between the two, so they're both pretty similar. Let's taste it. Oh, it's a little bit rough. Actually, without the water, it's extremely rough. Very burny, very fiery, not in a spice kind of way, it's just the alcohol's roughness and burniness. Oof. That's if I was to base my decision whether or not I like it, just based on that, I probably would say I don't like it. It's and I'm definitely going to have a glass of water after this tasting, because I need to just cleanse my palate. It's really quite rough. So it's really quite rough. I'm getting minerality, I'm getting sour fruit, I'm getting unripe fruit, chalkiness, It's dry, salinity, a slight smokiness. It's oily, but it's not the normal peaty oil that you're used to, but it's definitely an oily dram. And I'm getting a bitterness right in the end. I can't quite put my finger on it, slight sweetness. Not much spice, but it is burny, so I can't describe it. But look, it's a very rough whiskey as it's out of the bottle. So let's see how we go. Yeah, so water definitely tames it straight away. I'll tell you right now, have water with it straight away, because, well, I mean, obviously if you're opening it from the start, you want to try it without water, but water subdues that alcohol dramatically subdues it. I'm getting a bit more sweetness now. I'm getting a lot of salinity from it. The oiliness is more lingering, which is funny. And I don't know how that works, but the oiliness is sticking to my tongue and around my mouth a bit more. I'm getting cherry, like a cherry juice cherry. Actually, almost, I'd even go as far as saying I'm getting like a cherry cola cherry. You know, that kind of artificial cherry. I'm getting that. Slight vanilla. Oh, look, this is a rough beast, this one. This is not for the faint-hearted. I mean, you know, it's saying that you're supposed to get, you know, langoustines, beach bonfire, chocolate, butterscotch, coconut ice cream. I'm not getting the ice cream at all. I do get a bit of coconut. I'm not getting the butterscotch. I'm not getting the chocolate. I'm not getting any of that. So hey, you know, the description is not always going to pan out, but I think, I mean, would I buy this dram again? It's probably what I would say, I probably wouldn't actually. I probably wouldn't buy this dram again. It is not for me. It's a little bit too fiery and burny and rough, and it just doesn't agree with my palate. It's probably the first SMWS bottle that I would say I'm not a fan of. I mean, I mean, look, if you like that rough, salty kind of whiskey, then maybe, you know, maybe go for it. But personally, this is probably a no-go for me again. I wouldn't buy it again. It is a little rough. The finish is just lingering. I can still taste it. Oily, and it is just making me salivate. It is salty. I wouldn't say it's meaty. It's not meaty, but it's definitely not. I wouldn't say it's an overly complex whiskey. It's an extremely robust whiskey. So I'm not getting too much complexity in there. I'm just getting a lot of hit, but the hit's so confusing and relatively two-dimensional at the same time. But thank you very much for joining me today. And this is my first Highland Park review in this channel, and hope that I will have more. And I'll see you guys again next time. And if you like what you're watching, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, any suggestions on what you want to hear about whiskies, let me know. Oh, I almost forgot. Cigar pairings for this one. Look, I probably wouldn't go back to this whiskey again. It's just too rough and too strong for me, and too violent. So look, I can't recommend a cigar for you, because it'll just drown any cigar you smoke. This will just drown any cigar you smoke. So I don't think you should have this as a cigar. Anyway, see you again till next time.